What is going on, everybody? I'm Dr. Fist Luigi, and today we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday, and that is finishing up the UNU 550 sedan. So, if everything works out, we should be able to get this in-game today. Because most of the Jason is already done. It's pretty much going to be identical to the 650. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. Yeah, we already got some people in chat. It's always good to have the activity right off the bat. As always, feel free to ask questions in the chat, and I will go on random tangents about UNU, life, whatever. Alright, so last time we took this 650 sedan and started turning it into a 550. So we have the front end here. So it's flattened, got the whole design thing going on there. Got the back. And coming back, I think this came out really well. I think this is a very good implementation of the back of the car. Although I'm almost curious if it would look better if I shortened this up even more. Let's see. So if I just took all this, brought it in one more pixel. I think it does. I think that looks better. I think I'm going to do that. Oh. I'm going to bring it in one more. Because this kind of flat spot here really is like a 650 to me. Having it a little smaller, I think, differentiates it well. So we're going to do that. I'll go ahead and shrink these up. We got a different playlist going today. We got the 40s royalty-free, copyright-free music going. All right, let's go ahead and there's a little electro swing action going. I think I'll leave this. I don't think that small of a bumper looks good. God, this almost seems a little too like upbeat for what we're doing here. I gotta go faster. There we go. Not bad. I like it. Makes it look a little less flamboyant, a little more modest. Go ahead and bring these in too. Well, that one I already did. Okay. So we already got some questions going on with the hubcaps. So the moon is the smooth round one that does not have any blue stripe. This is the dog dish hubcap, which does have the cyan stripe, the UNU brand copyright cyan paint that costs $400 a gallon due to IP protections. And you will be shot if you are using the wrong color. Okay, now that we got some UNU authoritarian jokes out of the way, personally, I really like the dog dish hubcap. It's this guy right here. I just think it looks really good. Okay. So yeah, with this being sucked in completely, I have to smooth these out. Just so that the bumper actually is fully connected. Because that's usually good if your bumper doesn't have cracks in it right from the factory. Alright, there we go. Okay. And then I was looking at the picture of this, and I think this might just be sloped back a bit too much. So I'm going to try reducing the slope and seeing how I like that. Yeah, sometimes you gotta sleep on it. Let's see. So we go ahead and bring the grill up here a ways. And then we'll see how it looks if I reduce the angle, because this is a pretty extreme angle. Alright. Parts. Cool. So first we'll go ahead and I guess narrow these guys just to make the everything easier. That's a technical term. Unnarrow. That will be on the vocab test. Alright, so yeah, right now this is 0.2 per pixel. So I'm going to cut that in half to 0.1 and see if I like that angle better. So this is going to be 0.6. And then a 0.7. Something ain't right here. Oh. There we go. Now, do this. Wrong one. There we go. And we'll re-thin it. Oops. Messed something up there. There we go. Alright, let's see if I like this better. Oh, missed one. Because, yeah, you know, you sleep on a model and then all of a sudden looks different. Okay. Here, we'll get this one to match here. Yeah, I think I like this better. The more conservative slope. It's not as intense. So that means I gotta change this little guy. So instead it's gotta be 0.25 on the front here. Well, actually, it's going to change quite a bit. If this wasn't going to get torn apart so that Bjorn can make some random ass fenders, then I wouldn't have to worry about this, and I just make them intersect. Good problems to have, though. Okay, there we go. Cool beans. Alright, that was actually not too bad. Alright. Oh man, chat's popping off. Looks like old Bjorn is the repo man on Athena's server. It's always funny when these different servers pop up. Like Gap had a really popular server for a while. Excuse me. Now it's Athena's server is becoming like the main character MTS server. All right. Cool. I like that. It's a little more subtle. The other one is a little too much. It's pretty slanted. Now we can see if I can bring that back one more pixel, or if it's still gonna cause problems with that frame piece. Because now that doesn't stick back as far. Ooh. I might be able to shorten it by one more pixel, just barely. That frame hides underneath. So get rid of the little frame extension there. And we'll shorten all this up one more pixel. Very nice. Because yeah, I want these different vehicles to be visually distinct. And have a lot of different aspects to them. So it's not just like, you know, make it a little less obvious that it's just a remodeled 650, you know. Alright, so we'll shorten that up. We'll shorten these guys up. Oh, I see you out here, Laura, with your aftermarket parts. Don't worry. Bjorn is just the most prolific vendor. That's all. Alright. Welcome to the stream, Naomi. Glad to see you popping in. It's always nice to see some of the main MTS characters finding their way into these. Yeah, Plains MC, that was the Gap server. Alright, let's see. Oh yeah, now that this is all coming together. So we'll shorten this up. Looks like this is looking good. Very nice. Alright, and then let's see here. Oh crap, the radiator cap. Bars. Let's see what I can do here. But what if I reduced the slope on this hood, made a little box here? Let's see how this looks. Because now I'm getting into the territory of like some more personal taste stuff. Let's see how this looks. Not the best. Yeah, it doesn't have any curve, it's just flat. So let's meet halfway here. Okay. How's this look? I'm gonna have to do the whole hood thing again. Just so I can make sure everything's lining up properly. See this? Oh, okay, I fixed that. Cool. I think that works. Let's get rid of this so I can kind of get a better idea of what the old curvature is looking like here. Get a better profile of just the hood. I think that works. It's a little, like, you know, chonkier, but I like it. That's kind of what I was going for. Cool. Alright, that means I'm going to have to... I don't have to tweak this little piece, which is good. I do have to tweak this guy. This little in-between piece here. And then scooch all of these forward by 0.5. Or make them longer. It looks like these are already extended by 0.5. So I'll just shorten them and then that way it's a full number of pixels. Interesting. And what's up with these? Alright. Cool, we're actually reducing UV morphing a little bit. Cool. Okay. Oh, okay. So it looks like Naomi is schizomini in the server. Okay. Will you put the little plain hood ornament on it? Yes, I have a hood ornament up here. I forgot about that last time, but we are going to tweak that for the Super and Deluxe models. Alrighty. I think I'm going to need... This is a very specific angle. I feel like there's a reason for that. Cool. Alright. I'm going to leave these here just for UV map stuff down the line. Yeah, it's turned into quite the cute little car. I'm liking it. Okay. So finally, I think the last thing is just the fender arch. Successfully got the radiator cap under there. And the reason I wanted to hide the radiator cap and not just like move it or something is for aftermarket. So that there's a consistent kind of clearance. At least as consistent as I can. Alright, time for some fun with fender flares. These are always a little interesting. Alright. So I'm going to copy these for now. Oh, wrong way. Okay. So I can definitely do this here. This is just a simple 45. I think this is what I'm going to go for, at least starting out. Your boy John joins the chat. Very good to have you back. You're a familiar face around these parts. Alright. Just gonna get rid of all this. There we go. Alright. It's coming along already. Please. Ah, crap. This is 3 tall. I think... Because see, this is 3 pixels tall. Comes in 1 pixel. I think I'm going to change that to coming in 0.6. That way, it's a little easier to work with. I like Shapebot, or this software being made by a German guy, because it all the decimals, you have to use commas on this, and so if you don't do it, then it messes it up if you're trying to type in decimals. Alright. Cool. So yeah, just a little more of a bulbous shape there, and that'll make this easier to shape box. Because now this is 0.6, so it's 0.2 per unit. And that's the innovation that makes this work. Well, I'm gonna have to look at this. I think we're gonna have to just make this a full one here. Just No, that does not work. Good. Well, I guess I'll just sort of send it here and see where we end up. So what I'm thinking internally here, I'll try to narrate it a bit better, is this guy. Do I want to make this width consistent and come in like a lip, or do I want to not, basically? And I think what I'm going to end up doing is bringing this in one more here. I think that kind of solves my problem. And then I'll bring this in. And forward 1. And I'll just reduce the slope on this guy too. There we go. Yeah, it looks better. And then this. So I think a little something like this. There we go. That way all this looks right. Well then we have this thing in here. Alright, we're getting extra funky. There we go. And then that way I can get rid of this. These very small details, because otherwise I will notice them. Cool. So now we have the general cutout. And then I have to make the flare for it. So get rid of all this. Alright. Whoa, Silverado's in the chat. Good to see you. And then, how long does it normally take to make a new vehicle? Generally, if I'm making a new vehicle, it kind of depends. Sometimes I can crank them out in like 2 days. Other times it might take about a week. It kind of depends on how motivated I am, how much time I've got in the day, that kind of thing. Alright, we'll start with this. Okay, so it looks like this will all just work. Cool. Just have to get rid of this. But yeah, I can make a vehicle pretty quick if I want to. It's just a matter of, like I said, time that I've got in the day. Okay. Alright. Vengeful Voice says that UNU and MTS are the best packs. MTS doesn't actually isn't a pack, unless you're like talking about the official content pack, I guess. But yeah, MTS is the core mod. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, the new texture work that's been going into the official pack is pretty banger. Really, kind of brings the official pack into a new light. I like it. I could never. I suck at textures. Like I've gotten better, but mostly just because of the filters that I use. My actual like texture skill isn't much more than coloring. Alright, that's why I do little model details like this. If I was better at texturing, I wouldn't need to do modeled details. Like, kind of just make it part of the texture. But it is what it is. Cool. I think that looks pretty good. That works. Alright. Yeah, so Naomi's saying it's a little too square. That's actually the point. It's supposed to be pretty kind of squared off. So this is how I'm liking it. Although this has to come out a little bit. Go. All right. This is already pretty stretched out. All right, and then to do the same thing with all this. This doesn't change. Yes, YouTube, I am still watching. This is somebody that I found commenting on my videos, by the way. I had this pulled up. I had like these notifications, and I see UNU Civilian Company commented, and they've been commenting on quite a few of my videos. So this is interesting. Looks like they're a fan of myself, Don Bruce, and the Oddly Seagull. I didn't realize Seagull had a channel. What's he got on there? Okay, it's old, pretty old content. Yeah, so I thought this was funny. This kind of gave me a little jump scare, seeing seeing that. All right, let me mirror this over. And there we go. Missing a piece. Many such cases. Oh, I'm missing a couple pieces. I think I'm also missing this internal piece. Yep, alright, cool. Alright. I think that weird little lip thing is a pretty consistent thing. Yeah, that's normal. I'll just leave that. Okay. Can I make it vanish? Yeah. I don't think the texture of any of these pieces is really savable. Let's do this just in case. But yeah, everything else is... Oh, these pieces. Alright, this can all just go away. That's all you need to be retextured. I think these are the same, but side to side. I'll just, there we go. All nice and clean. Alright. Oh, yeah, so Laura's bringing up the continue watching pop-up. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a plugin, but nah, I didn't really bother looking into that at all. It's a fun little meme. Well, good night, Naomi. Hope you enjoyed the stream. As for making content with Toolbox, that's how I am with Blockbench. I just don't get Blockbench. The way you manipulate the blocks doesn't play nice with my brain. All right, now for the fender skirts. Perfect factory finish right there. No modification needed. Okay. All right. Well, that doesn't work because it's clipping the hubcap. So I'm gonna have to make it a little shorter, I guess. Well, that's not much of a fender skirt now, is it? Yeah, I mean, there's not much I could do about that, I guess. I mean, I could make it stick out. Alright, well, I'll copy this design. Then let's try tweaking this up a little bit. Okay. And what I'm thinking is, if I bring this down one more, then make this only pop out a little bit. Whoops, wrong one. And that's good. And then I can make this front piece here. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, it's just one. I'm trying to get all fancy. I was doing the 6-6, whatever the heck. Okay. And I think this works. Kind of bumps out a little bit, but kind of comes with the territory. And the main thing was with this triangle is to try to make this like work. But the only way that would happen is if this stuck out too. Then the whole fender skirt would stick out. Alright, so we got Big Mouse from Brazil. I'm glad got a few Brazilians that enjoy UNU. There was a Brazilian in the chat yesterday, different name. And then as for Atis asking, what scale do I use? I eyeball it. I don't model to any kind of scale. So like the cars end up a lot wider proportionally than Steve. Like the cars end up bigger overall. Like they're as wide as a freaking train. But I use like a Minecraft scale that I've just sort of kind of come up with. My cars are generally like 2.5 blocks to 3 blocks wide. The truck's like almost exactly 3 blocks wide. I think it's just like a few pixels short. And the cars are a little narrower than the trucks. I kind of just give enough room for 2 Steves to sit side by side inside, so, you know, 2 blocks kind of from here to here. Yeah, so that's really all that goes into it, is it's just eyeballing. I get that kind of eyeballing from back when I used to, or not used to, when I build with Legos. So I find that it's kind of similar. Yeah, I don't know if I want to make this stick out. It makes the curves work better, but I gotta figure out how to make this work in a way that's not super funky. I mean, I could just make the fender skirt itself pop out like this. Maybe I go like that, kind of make it come in like that. I think that works actually. It's actually not too bad. Let's try it out. Yeah, Atis from Brazil too. Got quite a few Brazilians in the chat. Okay. Alright, I think this is going to be the fender skirt design. Actually, these don't need to be 2 separate pieces if I'm just doing that. There we go. Yep, I think that's the ticket right there. Now what if we Yeah, I think that's a little too much fender skirt. I think this is good though. So go ahead and mirror. There we go. Very nice. Now this is all coming together. Get rid of this guy. Alrighty. Yeah, with the whole Steve scale thing, what was it? It was the Tails fan. With F-Send. F-Send was trying to make an aerial atom, and they were raging over Steve. It's like, yeah, the scale's funked. If you try to make something perfect, you're gonna tear your hair out. 55, 13. Cool beans. I think we're pretty close here. And there's some, let's see, let me make sure there's nothing else I want to add. So we got the trim, the logos. So the base model logos I'll bring in a little bit just because they're a little close to the edge. They're like right in the middle here. Drop them down just so they're in the middle of this sort of fin thing. I think that's a good spot for them. And then the Super and Bel Air script is going to go right here on the door. Okay. But that's all stuff that can be moved within the model. I think. I guess I might as well do this. Alright, so it's 64. Oh man, these aren't in the same coordinate system, are they? Damn it, okay. Well, this one's easy because I can just translate it directly. It's not rotated. I have to tweak that a bit. And this too. What angle is this guy at? We've got 3 and 7, so that's 2 by 7 and 3. 1.5. Almost 45. Let's see what the exact angle is here. 36. Alright. Now this. I think you just had to bring the point in a little bit. Ah, frick. That's not what I meant to do. Alright. Cool, he said the save texture position. So I'm just gonna basically pretend that like that didn't happen. Alright. Do this that way I kinda know where the inside is. I know if it pokes out. It shouldn't, but you know. Okay. Well, that was easy. Very nice. That looks clean. Okay. Very nice. Okay. Now this guy, I'm going to make just a little shorter. There you go. Just a more modest little hood ornament. Not bad. Okay. Welcome back, Fauna. Good to see you back in the chat. And then we got Ada's asking, how do I come up with the UNU model numbers on the side of the vehicles? That, like many things in UNU, has a long backstory that goes back 10 years. Back when, so my friend of mine in high school, we had this, we were kind of came up with UNU as an evil megacorp for our server. So UNU definitely began as part of like the server lore before it became its own thing, and it was gonna be like a military contractor. So there's been some like I showed pictures of abandoned military airplanes, like futuristic looking stuff, and that was initially what UNU was gonna be. And he came up with the kind of naming scheme. Well, it was like kind of both of us, but he was the one that came up with a bunch of the first ones. So here, if I open up here, vehicles, you'll see there's a whole bunch of, oh, this is not the right example. It's in the Flans mod. It's old. And so we came up with these numbers just as like a naming convention, right? And so these were all of the vehicles that we'd come up with and kind of sketch. And he sketched a bunch of the initial designs of the futuristic vehicles. Maybe I'll release the sketches at some point. I still have like the originals. But these were the names that we came up with. And we wanted to have like a series of numbers that had meaning, but like kind of gave it like a cool sort of naming vibe. So, for example, the Falcon is what kind of made it TK5 right here. So, this is what set up the naming convention. So, we had come up with these 3 letters to mean stuff, but then this was kind of added for flavor. So, for example, if I Google, see if it pops up, TK584. So this is a Mega Block set that I have, and so it's TK584, and there's a Falcon on there, and so this plane, my siblings and I always called it the TK584 Falcon because that's what is on there, and so that is actually what determined the naming system, TK584 HFA Falcon, because of this freaking Mega Bloks set right here. So there's some more random UNU lore of like the origins of all this, and so these last 3 letters, those have meaning, and I think I've posted like a legend of what those mean. But the first is weight class, so you have heavy, medium, and light. The second is like its role, so this is a fighter, bomber, fighter, transport, etc. And then the last letter is like ground or whatever. So this is air, ground, 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 air, water, ground, etc. So for example, the mule is MCG because it's medium cargo ground. The mammoth, heavy transport ground. Or heavy tank ground, sorry. No transport. The wolf is light transport ground, light fighter water, light transport air, etc., etc. MCA, medium cargo air, that kind of thing. Now, if you go to the civil vehicles, you'll notice that they have a lot of similar names. So, for example, the Auroranus is LFA, light fighter air, because it was originally designed as a military aircraft. However, almost all the civilian vehicles will have LTC for light transport civilian, or LCC for light cargo civilian. And then there's, of course, MCC for medium cargo civilian. There's a few M's and then H's as well for, like, heavy trucks. So, for example, the Camel is medium because it's like a standalone truck. The Burro is heavy because it's a tractor trailer, right? And so most of the civilian vehicles will be weight and then CC for cargo civilian or transport civilian. And so that's kind of like some living lore of how UNU lore-wise, like conceptually, beyond the lore, but like as I actually came up with it, was initially like a military contractor. So all those letters were a military thing. And then transferring to civilian vehicles is where the civilian moniker comes from. Because it's not ground, because we wanted to differentiate it. Well, this is just me. My friend was kind of only involved in the concept stage of UNU. Once I actually started making content, we have kind of gone our separate ways. And so I wanted to set civilian to be the civilian vehicles. It's separate from the military stuff. And so that's why you see all of these just end in C, even though technically they're ground. And that kind of goes to the Blackthorn lore. Like, the aircraft will have A at the end, because technically the Blackthorn military controls air traffic, that kind of stuff. But civilian is what these all are going to be. Now, as for the numbers of letters at the beginning, that's somewhat random. So, for example, the Baron, IM 510. If you look at the very first one, you'll notice that the earliest files are 511. I started making the model on May 10th, and so that's why it's the 510. And IM is for Impala, because it's based on the Impala, right? So IM 510, Impala, started on May 10th. Very similar. HR, I feel like that has a meaning. because the director is based on Oldsmobile 88, which I saw on Craigslist and wanted to buy, but then it sold. HR. Maybe like human resources because it's like the boss's car. I'm not sure. And then 331. Again, if you look at it, these are all too old. They're too new. They've been modified recently. Let's see if it says created. April 2nd. Yeah. And so I initially started modeling it May 31st. And so some of these have meanings. Like Chancellor is Grosser Mercedes 600 because it's GM 600 because it was inspired by the Grosser Mercedes 600 car. Things like that. VP is for Vespa. If you see a 10-7, that's my birthday. Is October 7th. There's some DPL lore for you. And that would be, I think, in the military pack. Because there are some military packs stuff that has... Like, the numbers on the military pack content, completely random. That was before I started doing the date. So yeah, if there's a 107 in here, yeah, the Raptor. So that's my birth date. Which is why I did that. And then there are a few others in here that are like that. Others, like the PB 323, stuff like that. Oh no, the 323, it would be the start date. And you can see 326 shortly after I started making the salmon. Because the salmon's a newer one. With some of these, so for example, like, you might be thinking, what the heck's a salamander? Nothing. Salamander was never made. Vulture, same way, never made. So a lot of these were original concepts that I made folders for, never made. Sparrow, this actually has a model, and you can tell it's old because it's called the RG983 LTA Sparrow. Old naming convention, right? And some of you old heads might remember when the UNU vehicles were literally just named that ID. So like the Rabbit, the vehicles have always had like a personal name, so like they've always been named the Rabbit. Like the Rabbit was always named the Rabbit, but when I released it, it was called the UNU CP497 LTC, and for like months I stuck to that, and it's like I'm just gonna call it that. But then a bunch of people were like, these names are impossible to remember, so eventually I changed it, and now it's like the ID number. Alright, so now that I rambled on that, let's see if I can catch up here. Alright. Alright, so yeah, okay, now I've scrolled back. There was a lot of chat activity while I was rambling on. So, try putting the jet a little further back and make it a tad longer. Maybe add a vertical stabilizer on top of each wing. So talk about the hood ornament here. So yeah, on the Tri-5s, they are jets, and they have like little details. For this one, I don't like to get super crazy ornate on things. Generally speaking, my maximum resolution is 0.5 pixel, and that's for things like the wipers, little details like this, maybe some trim. I don't like to get into the really nitty gritty on these. And so yeah, I'm not going to be adding like little things on that, because again, this is also like a really base model car, so it's not going to be as intricate as the real thing, because in reality, the 55, 56, 57 Chevys were new model years. They were new cars released back to back. As far as the Universe goes, each generation of car, so like for example, this is a Gen 4 car, they're released simultaneously and available for 5 years. So UNU manufactures this car for 5 years during the 4th generation. And so this is like a, you know, the full car is a lower model than the 650, which is a lower model than the 750. And so if you look at the 750, there are little like fins on the hood bullets. And so, yeah, that's why I'm making this smaller and a little stouter, because it's supposed to be a little more modest. Okay. Oh, we got Leela in the chat. Old Batspin Aviation. Batspin's interesting because they have like skins and stuff, but not very active on UNU. And then yeah, Fauna asks, would the rail equivalent be HCR then? And that is absolutely correct. So if you go over to, if you look at the immersive railroading content here, notice HCR for the auto rack, HTR, armored troop transport, things like that. These are armored. Again, I have so much unreleased stuff that I kind of never finished. So for example, I was actually working on making an armored train. So this is a cute little armor. I think it's so adorable. Look at it. Full-size trucks on like the smaller boxcar chassis with all these armor plates. But yeah, I never finished it. Kind of random. But yeah. So yeah, that's absolutely right. R is the rail designation. And again, not being civilian because the Blackthorn government controls the railroads. Alright. And then yeah, Leela asked, do I ever plan on doing more aircraft? Probably at some point, but I like cars. Like, I've talked about this a few times, where I make cars because I'm into cars. I don't make military equipment, and I don't make airplanes that much because I'm not into them. Alright. Yeah, I mean, that's just the straight and to the point answer. I like trains, don't get me wrong. I'll like, when I see a train crossing, I'll drive and stop at the train crossing and watch a train go by. I'm an autistic train boy as much as anybody else, but I'm not into I'm not into train lore. Yeah, Atis is like, holy balls, that's a lot of info. Yeah, no, if you ask a question that has like a backstory, prepare to hear the answer. UNU goes back. There's some lore, and I like to think that, you know, you're here to hear the lore at least a little bit, and that's what makes this a little more interesting. And if not, too bad. We're gonna jump down little lore rabbit holes together. But yeah, now like I said, UNU started as a conceptually as an evil megacorp for my Minecraft server, and that server recently turned 10 years old. So there's history. There's been like 3 major phases of UNU as a concept. This 1960s UNU-verse, MTS is the 3rd iteration of like the whole UNU backstory. Alright. And yeah, Fauna says that she likes how old cars are... Looking at the thing. Ah, femboy. Okay, so that's still a guy. Fauna mentions how they like how old cars are more intricate than new ones. I agree. I hate new cars. I mentioned this last time on stream. I own all classics. I'm all for it. There's so much more, I guess, intricate detail. Because like new cars, they have like their details and their lines and stuff. Don't get me wrong. But you don't have a pedestrian hazard of a run around the front of your car. What are you doing? Like, come on. All right. I'm liking this. I'm liking this. I think we're booling here. I like the less sloped grill. I think it works really well. I like bringing this in because it makes the front shorter. This is just a cute little shoebox of a car, man. I like it. I like that these came in. It's all just really nice. It really came together. This is a cute little car. I think. Let's see if this looks good. If I kind of reduce this thing here, give this a little more Oh, fuck. Okay. If you, like, leave that blank and click something wrong, it crashes Toolbox. Let's see. Alright. And then Lila is correcting me on name pronunciation, so that's good on that. Whatever happened to the UNU Gustav? That, I think it's still in the military pack. There's this problem. So with this is like a workflow thing. My immersive railroading content's in a separate folder, and so what I do is I drag this into the UNU pack and then release it. Well, sometimes when, like, let's say I modify a bunch of JSONs, I'll delete the assets folder, but then I'll only update the MTS stuff, and the immersive railroading folder will end up getting deleted. So the Gustav cannon should still be in the pack. I think I accidentally deleted it at some point. So I apologize for that. And given that the military pack hasn't been updated like a year and a half at least, yeah, that hurts. Let's see how this goes. Oh, yes, I'm still watching. Yeah, so, I mean, you know, I forget about it, unfortunately, sometimes. But it is what it is. Alright, I think I like this kind of fender shape. Again, it's a little more modest, a little more toned down. This is cooler, don't get me wrong, but this I think fits the squared off style of the car more that I'm going for. I'm really going for like a classic shoebox design, just something cute and frumpy. All right. Yeah, I think this is good. It's cute. I like it. This is really turning into a nice little model, and it's, you know, distinct from the 650, so it's not just like a rehashing. All right. Donated to the Reich overseas. So that's an out-of-pocket comment, but yes. Don't look into the Universe, UNU in terms of the universe. It's cursed. It's all messed up back there, man. Don't. It's rough out there. Yeah, the UNU is intentionally like kind of evil, but they make good products. So, but yeah, that's the lore side of it, of course. That's what makes it fun. Hey, Lila says that they know they're not that active, mostly just a skin maker. Hey, content is content, and if you are a skin maker for UNU, that's valid. You know, it adds more variety. It adds a lot of value, I think, to UNU as an ecosystem by having skins. Like, that's why I make the template pack, right? Is I want people to make skin packs, because even if it doesn't add new vehicles, it's still cool. Like, everyone wants more cool truck trailers and different colored cars and whatnot. So I encourage skin packs, and so yeah, you know, you're not just a skin pack maker. You are a skin pack maker. Like, be proud of that. Own it. Yeah, ATIS is all for the lore and chatting. Yeah, that's what makes this fun. That's what makes this kind of cool, and not just me making a model. That can get boring. I almost want to like shorten this up, but I don't think I will, because there's not much room for the spare tire if I can't shorten it up anymore. Fauna says, thank you for recognizing the femboyness. I read Discord profiles. Mostly because I'm trying to. I can't see anybody's freaking profile picture. I just see like colors, and so I click it to get a better view, and then it's a furry usually. MTS has a strong furry presence. Then yeah, Fano asks if anyone has actually gotten UNU vehicles in survival. If you use immersive engineering, it's not too bad. But yeah, UNU is kind of like, it's hard to craft UNU vehicles in survival. But yeah, that's just, I guess that's intentional at the end of the day. Like, being honest, it's a car, and they're good cars, and I like to make it, it's like realistic, you know. And if you're using, if you've got a survival world, generally, having a car isn't really worth it until you've got like infrastructure to support it, right? Which is kind of a late game thing to begin with. So, all right, let's see how this is. Now, this is the one that I might want to tweak a bit. Let's see. I'm gonna copy this just so I have like a backup. Yeah, that does not work. It has to be in the middle. But because it's a consistent curve, it's gonna be a little funky looking. But I might be able to make it work a little bit here. Alright, I think that works. It's a little goofy. Not much I can really do though. Because I think it looks best in the middle. I don't know, I can angle it back a bit more. Let's try that. If I wanted to, I could do math to figure out the average angle slope that is in between the two, but sometimes eyeballing it really is the best method. I'm going the freaking wrong way. This is just the pain of trying to get something to just be right. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I think I'll have to just stick to that. All right. Yeah, ATIS is, you're right. UNU does need civilian aircraft. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not an airplane nerd, so I'm not really into making aircraft very much. Cactus has made some banger aircraft, but I don't like asking people to make stuff. I'd much rather have them make it and donate it, you know. So, as much as I'd like Cactus to make more stuff, I'm in no place to ask him to, because it's all volunteer. Yeah, so the Gustav not being in the pack, that's an error. it will be in the next update with the train content. It's goofy as all hell, but yeah. Alright. And then Laura pointed out, don't let the fender do it to 650 where it was asymmetrical. I fixed that. The error was on this model. I fixed it before stream. Just kind of swept that one under the rug. So yeah, they're symmetrical now. And yes, the two-door coupe will be coming. This is just the sedan to get the basics taken care of. The wagon will also be coming. Hey, Juan Camilo Vasquez Sepulveda says he likes the videos. Thank you. Thank you, Juan. I'm glad you enjoy. And then Fauna says that I need to make a 3D printed UNU model. There is kind of a 3D printable UNU model. It does. I put an UNU rabbit on Shapeways years ago and have not ever followed up on that. So out there, you could buy one. It probably won't turn out the best because it's not really optimized for that. Yeah, and then Atis says that the MTS guides don't help with animation. Yeah, I mean, the MTS guide, like the wiki is really there assuming you know a few basic things. Like, it's more of a reference than a tutorial. I made a tutorial about making a vehicle, but I didn't dive into animations, and that tutorial's outdated. So, I have a concept for something that will make making vehicles in a very restricted circumstance a lot easier using a quality UNU product. But it's still only at the concept stage, so we'll see if that comes out. Keep your eyes out for stuff that makes making vehicles easier from UNU. Yeah, and Atis says he's willing to donate a model to UNU. That would be great. Just, I have very specific, like, aesthetic requirements. Because UNU has a very definitive look, and I'm very interested in maintaining that. I've kind of dived into it before, so I won't dive into it here. But I do have, like, a pretty strict brand identity, if you will. Alright, so I've been kind of looking over this model, and I like it. I think... why does this only have one tailpipe? I need to scooch a tailpipe in anyways, because just one. Okay. I need to mirror the tailpipe. For the V8 models. Excellent. And then, yeah, this deal. Alright, let's see. Do any of these have the dual tailpipes? Okay. Beautiful. It still clips, but not as bad. It's one of those things where, what can you do? Okay. UNU is like the Apple of MTS. I think I get that. Like the apple of my eye type deal. I prefer just to think of it as number one. It's the best. Simple as. Again, you can't. I'm gesturing and being very hyperbolic. I mean, it is number one and it is the best. Don't get me wrong. But I'm hyperbolizing. See, some people like self-deprecating humor. I like self-aggrandizing humor. I think it's funny. All right, I think this is pretty solid. I'm gonna import the texture, and we can start that process. All right. Oh, Apple is like, okay, Apple is in like the company. Okay. Not quite. UNU is very open source. I mean, it's not, obviously it's not like fully open source, but UNU is like community focused, I think is a good way to put it. I very much want people to be a part of UNU. That's why I still have like the texture, the template texture pack. I have the whole like UNU v6 dealios going. Alright, so now it's time for texture mapping. This is going to be interesting, because I want to try to preserve like the existing texture map, because one, it makes it easier to know that the wagon and coupe variants are going to work, and the sport coupe and all that, because I don't want to retexture these little, like move these texture things around and then have them interfere in another vehicle. So that's that, because I want the hoods to be fully cross compatible, between like wagon, convertible. There is like a very interesting, like the muffler texture map is different on the convertibles because the convertible mechanism interfered like with where the muffler is because of how I wanted to do it. So like right here, the muffler is next to the roof, and so when I made the convertible roof, it's all textured right here, and I had to move the muffler UV, and that will get me. Like I'll update something to the vehicle and I'll copy, like for example, back before the frame system, when all of the suspension components were on the vehicle, and I need to make a small update to the model, like a toolbox, what I would do is I'd export it, and then I would only move the body over, and all of this running gear is the same between all the different vehicles. And so I would just copy the Blender model, and then I'd load up the convertible in-game, and the mufflers would be textured weird. So I'm trying to kind of avoid that mess the best I can. But I don't know if some of it's unavoidable. But yeah, so that, I mean, even that's a good example of how I'm not Apple. Apple doesn't give a fuck. Apple just says, screw you. Buy our products. We know you will. Consume. And people do. My freaking work, man. I work at a university. And all these Apple products. And I have to use a MacBook for my work. Bruh. I feel like a freaking Linux user. Talking about how, when I talk about how, like, God, Apple's not for people that do fucking work. Like, I don't know, man. Apple sucks. Like, I like the iPod. That's about it. Okay. Alright, so yeah, A to Sin, just make a list of things to follow, and, okay, yeah, we could talk on Discord. I think you're on the UNU Discord. Um, yeah, that'd be cool if you wanted to become an UNU parts supplier. Or not an UNU parts supplier, but, you know, an UNU subcontractor. Okay, I'm just going to start making these things invisible. They need to be retextured. So that can... need to be remapped. A lot of this stuff will need to be retextured. Ah, crap. That's going to have to be remapped because it sticks over. But yeah, fauna is like, you know, clarified. I mean, more of the whole ecosystem thing. And yeah, UNU very much is an ecosystem. I try to make that happen. Part of it is the convention. Like the standardized convention is in an effort to make a broader ecosystem for MTS packs in general. That didn't really work the best, but hey. I think enough people follow the convention to where it still has value, but it's mostly just me and Siegel. In terms of major pack makers, you know, when I refer to like packs in that context, I'm talking, I guess, like ecosystems, yeah, because like DKZ follows the convention, but they're like kind of under the UNU umbrella, if you will. All right. An UNU 208. I don't even know what that means. Alright, and then it dives into an explanation of animations. But yeah, making an ecosystem is part of why I think is definitely like an important aspect of UNU for me. It's something I actively try to promote. Because it's very much like a rising tides situation, you know? The more people that benefit, the better. And if, you know, if I make like a strong UNU ecosystem and a bunch of people make UNU that make packs that fall within that ecosystem, then everyone kind of comes out ahead. And so that's kind of the strategy there. And you know, it's also part of like the UNU success plan is having a bunch of packs that use UNU parts. Like that's, you know, part of it too. I'm not, you know, but I think that's kind of what sets UNU apart from a lot of other packs is that the broader market strat. I mean, I work in entrepreneurship. Like that's my job. It's like I'm a entrepreneur mentor thing. I don't want to get into too much detail because I'll get freaking doxxed, but like my job is I work in entrepreneurship basically. And so I have like a business background. I took, you know, business classes in college and so like all this, like I run UNU like a business. Like obviously not in the for-profit sense completely. Like UNU does have cash flow, but not in, there's more to business than just the money. I run UNU ideologically like a business. There's, you know, there's a brand guidelines, there's brand imagery, brand coloring, you know, aesthetic decisions that get made. And so yeah, UNU is very much run with the mentality of a business, and because I have that background, that's what I think gives me an edge. Plus, like, you know, helps that I have a math background, because I can, you know, do math. I don't know how much else to put it than that, but so yeah, having my mathematics background helps and that I can do math, right? For UNU stuff. And then, of course, I've got the engineering background, so I know design. You know, it all kind of plays together. And I think those are all factors that have helped me make UNU successful. And then, of course, there's also the luck aspect of it. UNU was like the first major content pack in MTS, so there's that like first to market advantage as well. Yeah, it's just been interesting kind of seeing everything grow and develop and how it's worked out. Because, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of small touches to UNU that play into its success. What the hell is all this crap? All these, oh, okay, it's these other little pieces. Alright, this is the kind of boring part, is this UV texture deal. Because I want to make the UVs as consistent as I can. For the reasons I listed before, and also it helps the aftermarket. And I know that if I make the wagon variant, it's not going to freaking create a big old pile of problems. Alright. Cessna 208, gotcha. Okay. UNU needs more propaganda. I don't know if it's still a role. Let me check really quick. But there was a role called Propaganda Panda. Okay, that role was removed. Because UNU made some propaganda back in the day for UNU. But yeah, I agree. I would like to see a lot of UNU flyers. A graphic designer, I am not. So I probably won't make too many more. Every once in a while, I feel like it. You know, it's one of those like come and go things. If someone were to make posters, I would definitely look in, you know, consider adding them to UNU. But yeah, there definitely needs to be more like promo and stuff. Laura's a graphic designer. Laura, how come you haven't made more propaganda posters for UNU? That's a joke. Yeah, every time I hear a graphic designer, I can't help but think of the meme. Graphic design is my passion. Alright, edit, select all visible parts. Parts, auto, texture, selected parts. Yeah. So yeah, Fauna says that in their opinion, UNU is the cutting edge of MTS technology. It kind of always has been. There are other packs that have also been on the cutting edge. Blaze's pack in particular, back when it was still active. That was one thing I really admired about Blaze, is he was always pushing the envelope for MTS. But UNU has also definitely been on that cutting edge as well. That's one thing that I always find interesting with MTS, is like every pack has its benefits, right? Like it's kind of it's a market value. It's a the value proposition of these different packs. They're different. Obviously, they're different packs, but I've always found it interesting to see like what each pack focuses on. All right, this is something I need to keep an eye on. So those can be the same because you can't see the inside. No, they can't. Okay. So these need to be Okay, this is all fucked up. Alright. Yeah, I always like to see, like, what makes each pack special, right? Like, what their value proposition is. What makes that pack the one that someone's going to download. And so, that's, the pack identity. For Gap, it's airplanes. They've got the jumbo jets and stuff. And so that's what makes their pack special. And that's pretty cool. Alright, I gotta focus on these things here. Just to make the textures work. Because they're all freaking... The eyebrow pieces... I made an error on when I made the model. So I mirrored them side to side. And so you couldn't paint the inside without the outside of the other one being messed up. So I want to make sure these are all correct. But yeah, I like seeing like what makes each pack unique, right? Because, and so for Veb, it's the Russian military stuff. That's their niche. And then for Blaze, back when he was making content, it was like the uniqueness. It was the jank, right? And that's pejorative in a sense, and he took it as such. But I always kind of like admired it. Like, not in a way that like, oh, I wish I could do that with my pack, but in a way that like it was unique, right? And then Seagull has the community aspect. Seagull, for the longest time, just freaking nailed the community aspect of it. With the Trini games, and you could earn medals and stuff. Like, it was unparalleled. It was great. Alright, I want to make sure that these are all different UVs. Okay. And so, yeah. And I always kind of felt that UNU was the accessible pack that had enough, was like kind of the everything pack, but also accessible, right? So like, I experimented with body roll like a year before Blaze had started messing with it, but I didn't implement it because it was janky, and I didn't want UNU to be janky. And so that kind of stuff is kind of what I've angle UNU to be, is the whole accessible angle. That it's a pack that anybody can enjoy, that anybody can kind of understand. That's kind of what I try to go for, but that is also like exciting and new, and has like interesting features. So, yeah. But yeah, I like that each pack kind of has its own thing. If it was all the same, it wouldn't work. If everyone made classic cars, oof, that would be a shitty MTS community experience, if you ask me. Okay. I like that it's all different. So that's what makes it cool. Okay, going on to that. Making sure catch up. So the spinning chicken nugget asked when UNU military stuff is going to be updated. It is actively being updated. It's being updated to UNU version 6, so you can disassemble them like all the other UNU vehicles. There are some cool things with guns that are happening. Other packs have beat me to the punch with modular guns, but I think UNU has a few things that kind of set it apart. I'll give a little sneak peek of the oil stuff, the military stuff at the end of the stream. Yeah, and then Atis said a friend have complained about how UNU, no matter how tuned the vehicle is capped at 59 miles per hour. That is probably with a speed factor thing. So there's this whole like schism in the MTS community about the speed factor, and there are people out there that think you should, because MTS sets a speed factor at 0.35 by default, and that means that cars will go 35% of full speed. And you could go to the config and you could change the speed factor. However, the average user, the end user, doesn't know that. And so some packs have decided that they're going to adjust their vehicles so that they'll go full speed with like the speed factor of 0.35. So if you throw like a speedometer in it, you go like full speed, it will be realistic. So like the vehicles will compensate for that speed factor. I don't like that approach personally, because that's like, you know, not how speed factor works, right? What the hell? This is also all freaking going on here. Oh my gosh, I just fucked up a few UV things. Was it a jump to element? God damn it. Alright, there we go. And so because I set UNU stuff up to where it actually follows the speed factor, it makes UNU slower in comparison. And so what you could do to compensate for that is if you go into the MTS config, there is actually a pack specific speed factor setting. Specifically because, like, Don Bruce agreed that I was right, but, like, you know, it doesn't really matter much if everyone else is doing that, right? And, you know, everyone can do whatever the frick they want with their pack, even if it's wrong. Parts, auto texture. So what you're going to want to do is go into, if you want to make all the other vehicles, if you want to equalize UNU to be the same speed as all the other vehicles, you have to set the UNU speed factor to this number. 1.857 will work, or 2.857 will work. And that will speed up the UNU vehicles so that they're balanced with everything else. That's why UNU has a scaled speedometer, because that speedometer scales with the speed factor. But yeah, so that bothers me because it's, you know, again, that's my engineer brain coming out, where it's like, the speed factor is the speed factor. Why would you fuck with that? Like, they could just set the speed factor to what they want. But everyone could do whatever they want with their own pack. That's democracy, baby. So yeah, if you want UNU vehicles to speed up, just set the speed factor. You can either set the UNU specific speed factor to this to counteract to balance UNU with everything else, or you could set everything else speed factor to 0.35 and then adjust the master speed factor bars. But yeah, that's that. Alright, cool beans. But yeah, some of you may have, I would assume that most of the people watching this are on the UNU Discord and are up to date on UNU, like, I don't know, features that have been highlighted and whatnot. But just in case you aren't, this is going back to like the different packs having different features and stuff. Ah, jeez, this one's all messed up too. So you may have noticed that the latest version of UNU has a functioning odometer, which is pretty cool. It's a feature that people want to implement for quite a while. The person who originally made a somewhat functioning odometer in MTS was actually Blaze. He had little spinny animated pieces on his car, on one of his vehicles, that would rotate with the wheel. And the rotation, like the actual like dials and stuff, weren't as clean as UNU's are, because this was done years ago before MTS had the features that it has now to allow such a thing. But again, it was, an example of jankiness, right? That was just kind of that's how it was back in the day if you wanted to implement cool features. But yeah, so Blaze had implemented that years ago in like his generic American Motors pack. And it's like, yeah, that was Blaze's identity. Blaze like pushed the envelope on like what MTS was even capable of, right? Did things that MTS basically wasn't ready for. Whereas UNU pushes the mold and like, but doesn't release things that are janky in that way. So, like for example, UNU, I made tractor trailers for UNU before trailers were available on MTS, but I didn't release them. Oh, fucking hell, I hate this crap. It does this. Alright, there we go. Fucking hell. This random piece, like, shooting up. Bugs the hell out of me. Like, I don't even know why that happens. Anyway. So yeah, that was kind of Blaze's claim to fame back in the day, was that he would push the envelope on like a janky scale of like things that MTS wasn't really doing, whereas UNU kind of focused more on like stuff that was within the realm of possibility. Um, like I would experiment with things that MTS couldn't do. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't the same way, because our packs are different, and I think that kind of goes into like, so kind of why I went on this tangent about Blaze's content in particular. It's a funny thing that I've noticed with MTS is there are people that make content for the general public, which is kind of what UNU goes for, which is why I try to minimize the jank. I try to, maximize user friendliness as much as I can, that kind of thing, because at the end of the day, I'm making my pack for the freaking random 12-year-old that clicks, oh, the cool car pack on Curse, right? And doesn't, just downloads a fucking car mod. But there are people at MTS that kind of focus more on the MTS community, which is, I think, kind of what Blaze did. Making features that people within the community would think are cool, but not necessarily outsiders, right? Because an outsider just sees a bunch of dials on a dash, is like, what the frick is this? And I don't mean that in like a negative way. I mean that in like the freaking end user doesn't know what they're looking at. Which is another thing I've always found interesting, is because I'll do things with UNU that I'm just looking at the UV map. I'll do things with UNU that are very intentional for a general audience. Whereas, and then they'll get like shit on by MTS people, because that's not the spirit of MTS. Like a big one was when I added all the default parts. Like when I initially did that, people were like, what the heck? That's not what MTS is all about. But my idea, of course, being it makes it more user friendly. And so yeah, that's always a little like nuanced thing about the MTS community that I found interesting. When something is done as like a service to the community, rather than like the end user, if that makes sense. It's just one of those like quirks of the MTS folks that I've always found interesting. Okay. Spinning chicken ass is the UNU tank is going to get out of the prototype. So that is a prototype tank specifically because it's like a railgun tank. I plan on implementing like normal tanks too. It's just, once again, it's that whole I'm not a tank guy. So we'll see. At some point, yes, I would like to. But so yeah, as for like that tank specifically, no, it's gonna remain a prototype tank. I might like change some aspects of it, but it itself will remain a prototype tank because that's kind of what it is. Yeah. But yeah, I do want to make and Cactus is making a tank for UNU. It's like, I guess it's more of like an armor personnel carrier. But yeah, I want to make like more traditional looking tanks, which is why like I designated that one as a prototype tank, because it's not a good tank design in general. Which is what happens when you get someone who doesn't know anything about tanks making a tank, right? But yeah. So that right there is just me making the reverse lights. The reason for splitting them, of course, is MTS. That way these can be emissive. Can UNU vehicles have default dash instruments? So MTS has like an instrument panel system that's been implemented so that you can define instrument panels and then reference them. I don't know the details. I have not looked into it, but I know that it's something that exists. And I do plan on redoing UNU dashboards. And so once all that happens, then yes, I will be doing, I will add default instruments. That just hasn't happened yet because I haven't updated that. And so I don't want to kind of bother updating that aspect of the mod when I'm going to be changing it again. Which is kind of, I understand flawed thinking, because it's like I could update it and fix it, but I don't like the current state of UNU instruments, so I don't want to poke them before I work on them, because then I'll just end up working on them. So yeah, I want to wait on that. Okay. Are the plane engines almost fixed? Will the airship ever be implemented properly? The plane engines are kind of in a state of limbo, similar to instruments, because I want to change them. I want to basically eliminate the plane engines and make them normal engines. And so, no, the airplane engines aren't going to be fixed. When I modify them, they'll become normal engines, which is kind of like where I'm headed. But yeah, right now the only vehicles that use the plane engines is the UNU Aurornis. If there's packs that use them, I'm sorry. But yeah. Okay. And then yeah, Fauna brings up the airship again. The airship is one of those sad things where I have so many awesome plans for it, but it is such an undertaking that I don't want to dive into it because it'll take me like a month, right? I have some really cool ideas for the airship. I don't know when those will get implemented. And like, I don't even want to say what they are because I don't want to spoil anything, and I also don't want to build up hype before like it's deserved. But I have some really cool ideas with the airship. Kind of going into the whole like pushing UNU to its limits. I have some really cool things I want to do with the airship. I just don't know when that's gonna happen, which is so sad because it's really cool. And I'm laughing, not crying. If that, yeah. All right. Yeah, and the lore says the way I got shit on for doing stuff friendly to the end user was annoying. Yeah, I mean, it was annoying. I don't care. I kind of like let all that stuff just go. Like, I've long stopped caring about what the quote-unquote MTS community thinks. And so, like, at this point, I kind of just lean into it. I'm like, yeah, cool. Hate us because they ain't us type of attitude with in regards to all that. Yeah, so that Naomi brings up the default part idea, makes it easy to get a running car. Yeah, I mean, the main reason for that, and it's the same thing with the default fuel. The default fuel, though, it's annoying because you have to... Parts... Like, if somebody doesn't configure their pack properly, like their mod pack, then what'll happen is they'll spawn a car and they'll load up with like lava because that's the top listed fuel, and they want to fill it up with gasoline and they can't because there's lava in the tank. And that gets annoying to constantly have to explain. I guess good old UV fighting going on here. And I don't want to just make this a tiny little triangle, but I think I'm gonna have to. Oh no, I can push the 3 and 7 forward. There we go. No one will ever know. But yeah, the shitting on UNU for user-friendly stuff is like, that's the MTS community making stuff for itself, like, kicking up a notch. Which is kind of funny. And I really, like, don't care because that's so counterproductive. I mean, the MTS community TM is like 20 people. I hope you're not spending hours of your life making something for only like 20 people to enjoy. But yeah. All right. And yeah, Laura points out the default instruments are possible. Yeah, like I said, and that was probably sent before I went on my ramble about why I haven't updated. But yeah. Plan to model a full-scale UNU battleship. Big if true. This is my pessimism coming in, and don't take this the wrong way, but plans aren't worth shit. Once something's actually made, then I get excited. But yeah, go for it. That'd be cool. But I've had a lot of people that like want to make something for UNU, and then we have a conversation, and then it like doesn't go anywhere. So that's why I always like. There's a guy who was gonna help. Like this is kind of recently who was gonna help like bring into the UNU fold, right? Like be a corporate partner, use all the parts, and I'll help make adjacents and stuff. But I have a requirement where, like you have to have a finished model first, and then they never did. So make something, and then we'll talk. That's kind of my attitude, and it's a little abrasive, but I don't want to waste time. Yeah, MTS lava is interesting lore. I like the engines should never overheat because they run on lava. They're just really complicated Stirling engines at that point. Okay. Yeah, abrasive but reasonable. I mean, that's kind of just me in general. Okay. Alright, I think this is looking pretty solid. Oh, there's this up here. Almost didn't even see these guys. Cool, don't have to UV map them though. That's always a win. Easy dubs. Okay. Okay. I have to now texture, make sure the interior of everything is all good. Because I know that one of those parts I modified had blue on it, so yeah, this guy right here. That's cursed. I'll leave that like that for now, though, because it doesn't really matter. Alright, the grill has to be modified. This is kind of how to do that. Because this shows where the grill is very easily. Ooh, do I have like an ID name yet for the 550? Yeah, okay. FF707. I think that's because I started it in 7/7, right? Yep, July 7th. A while ago. And then FF, I think, is literally 550. BA is for Bel Air. DR is for Doctor, because that's the car I have. Or no, Del Rey. It's for Del Rey. Because the Del Rey is what the 150 trim turned into. So in the Tri-5s, the lowest trim was the 150, 210 Bel Air. In 58, turned into Del Rey, Biscayne, Bel Air, Impala. They added an extra trim level on top because just not enough chrome. All right. And then Modest Creator asks, when, Laura's already answered, but when will the military get updated? When, to 1.16.5, when the next update comes out. It's actually all ready to rock. I plan on releasing a beta relatively soon. Okay. I think we're good. I think this is done. Trying to see the seats here. Okay, these seats aren't textured. Gotta change that. Bump right there. Make the bottom disappear. Alrighty. Laura, I love unrelated tangents. I hope your sister's birthday was good. Yeah, then Atis is talking about how every pack has a different JSON format. One thing you could do is export in dev mode, and then all the JSONs will be in the same format. Not a tab to be seen, but if you do control, like in Notepad, if you replace a double space with a tab, then everything will get lined up right. And then that'll make every pack consistent. And the JSON will be fully up to date with the MTS standard, because MTS has a lot of legacy compats, and so there are some formatting changes that happen in terms of like axes and how the JSON is laid out. And so if you do that, if you export it in dev mode, it'll clear all the legacy compats and remove code that doesn't matter. Like, for example, you don't have to define a center point for translation animations, and so it'll get rid of that. So that'd be my suggestion if you're learning and starting from scratch. Export everything into dev mode and look into the packs in the dev mode export, and that'll kind of declutterify everything and make it all consistent. Oh, the modest creator says, thanks for helping resolve the frame rate issue. I'm assuming you're discussing like the light mode pack. If so, I'm glad to help. If not, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm glad to have helped. My guess is you have a Discord username that I'd recognize, but not whatever you have on YouTube. Oh, okay. Well, that needs to change. Those can't be the same. UNU's finest product has to be the spiral stairs. That one was Athena. Athena modeled those. All the furniture that was added in that last update was modeled by Athena. The quality UNU furniture supplier with questionable manufacturing practices. We love cursed UNU lore, don't we, folks? Okay. I think this is solid. Just making sure the texture and everything's all proper. Alright. God, this is such a cute little car. Now it's time for the coupe version. The coupe. Alright. Any tips for texturing? I'm not the right person to ask. I suck at textures. My only texture tip in terms of like, and this is like a scalability tip, template textures. Because then you can just load it up into GIMP, bam, 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 crank out a bunch of template textures, or a bunch of texture variants. And that's pretty solid. That's my advice. But in terms of like skill, I don't have any. I can color pretty nice, and that's what all this is. And I do have like a consistent color scheme for like suspension frames and all that. Don't get me wrong, like there's a method to the madness. Like I don't just paint these things willy-nilly like, oh, I like this red color. Like I have a specific red color that I use, a specific chrome color, a specific color for clear lights, that kind of thing. But if you want texture tips, Mule that does the OCP textures, that's gonna be your guy. Okay. Eta says that Athena scares him. Good. You're good to be scared. You're right to be scared, I guess is the better way to put it. Okay. I was just gonna pull out the specific parts, but I'll just do the whole darn deal. I like Athena. She's a little goofy, but I think she adds a lot of flavor to UNU. They're definitely unique. Okay. Yeah, so Fauna points out that they like how UNU got its name from a sheep texture. So yeah, that's part of like the UNU lore, right? It was like a generic. It started out as like just a generic megacorp. That was what UNU's role was for my server, because again, it was developed for my server. And yeah, it just seemed funny, like, oh, huh, the UNU on the sheet. What if that was a company that branded everything? And that's here we still are branding everything. I love it. It's just a fun little history. Okay, so here we've got the doors ripped off. Then we got the 2-door right here. Go ahead and paste this in. Okay, I don't need the trim pieces, because the trim is different. Okay. So let's see how this all is working out here. Make sure nothing's... Like, all the textures are fucked, but let's make sure nothing's too fucked. Because, like, for example, this door extends past its normal texture, so I need to make sure that anything I added and remapped doesn't interfere. That's what I'm going to check here. Mostly the longer pieces. Okay. Looking good, looking good. And yeah, this is all going to be a little messed up. That's normal. Just as long as it isn't too messed up, right? So yeah, I saw the so Laura is suggesting a color tone. I saw that. I'll see what I can do. No, I'll make that a color combo. The emerald with tungsten. Excuse me, tungsten. And then yeah, Blue Stream asks what colors will it have? I don't know. Haven't decided yet. We shall see. Okay. Congratulations on your new outfit. Freaking what? The spinning chicken nugget. I hope it makes you a hit with all the ladies or men. What else we got going on here? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the Derek cutout? The Derek cutout is a very fantastic piece of promotional material. It's one of those things that I think adds to the humor of UNU. I like it. It's a good addition, very valued. I need to create more Derek lore. There's not very much. Derek is his brother. Spaceballs. Search for the UNU Swift. Yeah, I love the abandoned UNU vehicles. It's great. Gotta love it. Because you don't have any other choice. And then Silverado asks, who's Derek? Derek Amundsen is the fictional spokesperson for quality UNU products. Is this part of the door? Yeah, I think so. Yes. Okay. Well, it doesn't matter that I didn't delete it because that little piece is the same. But I'll delete it now. We should have a vote on what skins should be included. What is this? Trin? Democracy? Now I'll ask the community if they have any suggestions. Usually, I have like a few that I intend on adding. That like, yeah, this has to be a skin. But a lot of times I will ask the community for suggestions on color combos they want. The 650 Deluxes in this last wave, I think, had some cool color combos. With like the red and dark red, and then like the green and dark green. Like where they're two-tone, both the same, like general color, I think was pretty cool. I think those turned out really well. War hero Blackthorn. Yeah, Derek's not a war hero. He did fight in the war because everybody did. It was World War II. But nah, Derek's not a war hero. He served an important function just like everybody else. You, citizen, are the real hero. That kind of dealio. I love accidentally reselecting the same thing multiple times. Okay. Alright. We got the coupe rolling. Okay. Is UNU in the lore a national corporation integrated with the Blackthorn government? That is a complicated question. Because yes, but actually no. UNU is a mega corporation in Blackthorn that is like the official Blackthorn supplier, but UNU is also largely independent. So UNU can do some things that Blackthorn might not be okay with, but Blackthorn there's like an expectation that UNU is loyal to the Blackthorn government and kind of serves as like a private sector Blackthorn advocate. I don't know if what the right word to use there is, but effectively UNU is like Blackthorn's corporate arm. Okay, and then yeah, Fawn had a question, but Laura already answered it. The Ender the Strange 750. Ender sponsored all these Tri 5s, and so I gave him a special variant just for himself. He also sponsored all the like 1920s cars, so thank Ender for this stuff being in game. Okay. Well, I guess I shouldn't use that color. I'll use this funky minty green. This is a cool color. Well, these I can just color blue right out the gate. That's what color they're supposed to be. Now I'm doing this so I can retexture them easily. Okay. That kind of looks cool in a cursed kind of way. Alright, so export this as the coupe texture. Yeah, UNU kind of acts like USPS in lore, Fauna says in chat. Kind of. Like, the USPS at the end of the day isn't really there to make a profit. It is still a service for the American people. I think there's a lot of problems. This is a little bit diving into politics, but I think there are problems when you look at the USPS as a for-profit company. I don't think that works. I don't think that's fair to the USPS. Alright, so those are the updated texture, file, export, file, import, texture from file, and the coupe. There we go. And of course, something ain't right. What's going on here? No, this just didn't get painted. There we go. Now what the heck is going on here? This is right. Hopefully this isn't a problem on the other vehicles. If it is, I probably won't be fixing it. I hate fixing little texture bugs like this. It drives me insane. Probably is, though, on other coupe models. Alright. Very cool. Alright. I would have assumed the Blackthorn wouldn't be as okay with the whole private sector thing, considering their flag. So it's spinning chicken nugget in chat. The Blackthorn flag has been redesigned. Blackthorn has shifted conceptually. The old like hammer and sickle logo is outdated. It's been outdated for a while in terms of Blackthorn ideology. Blackthorn's a lot more nationalist than it is socialist. But kind of UNU, interestingly enough, is like a communistic force. They're like Blackthorn has interesting politics. I'll dive into that a little later. Because yeah, I want to wrap this up a little bit. I want to focus more on the model. Ender is a hero. Yeah, he's definitely bankrolling a lot of quality UNU content. It's integrated into the texture on all of Doc's cars for icons. I'm not sure what that is. Alright, let's make a Blackthorn flag. What's with that in lore context? So I guess I will describe the Blackthorn flag. This was the initial conception of Blackthorn when it was going to be like a industrial communist society. Not anymore. The new Blackthorn flag is different. If I go over here into materials, this is the new Blackthorn flag. So this is a banner. This is the Blackthorn flag. So it's the spirit of Blackthorn is the star, and this kind of created a combination between Athena and I worked on this. The star is like the spirit, the hope of Blackthorn, and it's protected by Blackthorn's scientific pursuits. Science is a very key aspect to Blackthorn. So that's what the atom represents. Of course, the atom bomb being one of Blackthorn's most important developments. The gear surrounding that is representative of industry. So industry helps protect the security of Blackthorn's scientific pursuits, as well as, of course, the people. And the thorns represent the enemy, or the military. Blackthorn's military force protects its industry, its science, and its people. And the Ring of Thorns has spikes on the outside to protect Blackthorn from external threats, but it also has thorns on the inside to protect Blackthorn from internal threats as well. And then these arrows, this is just kind of a design motif, but it also kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Symbolizes Blackthorn's projection of power around the world. So this is the new official Blackthorn flag. Communism has been eradicated. So yeah, communism is no longer part of the Blackthorn lore. It's all nationalism, baby. It's Blackthorn. Are there any other nations? There are other nations in the Blackthorn lore. That is why there's a pinwheel of friendship in my materials folder. Yeah. And yeah, to clarify, not having lore beyond the models, look at you, an actual normal user. Not completely inundated in the Blackthorn lore, which is totally reasonable. That's fine. You're normal. You're a human being. You don't spend... Yeah. Blackthorn lore goes deep. Okay. Almost. We're cruising along. Probably won't get the Jasons done today. I don't think I'm going to do the Jasoning on stream. I think I'm just going to crank through and get that done. It'll be quick. It's not interesting. This is just a different version of the 650. It'll just be changing a few numbers around. When the mule has a civil version. Yeah, the civil version of the mule will come. The mule is like one of my favorite vehicles lore-wise because it's the very first UNU vehicle ever made. It was the first vehicle to bear an UNU logo that actually got released. And I've consistently kept it updated. It sports the newest UNU features. It's great. All right. I think this is good. Now for the wagon variant. let me think here. Let me check the sponsorship because I don't want to. What I'm about to say, I want to make sure it aligns with what was sponsored because I don't want to. Okay, so the sponsorship states the UNU 550 in 3 trim levels and the wagon. So I don't think, at least for now, I'm not going to make a sport coupe and sport sedan version. Those were extra. Those weren't part of the sponsorship. That's not part of the whole trim level thing. Part of it being the model's really complicated. Not really complicated, but it's like a whole other body style. And it doesn't really fit with the 550 being the lowest tier trim level. It's not like supposed to be a sporty car, and so I think for now there's not going to be a sport coupe version. I'll still make a convertible version though. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do a sport coupe of the 550. Yes, I'm still watching. I'm glad Naomi here appreciates my sense of humor. Fauna asks if did the graffiti fall through? I think you were the one that posted that graffiti, and I saw that. Basically, their graffiti is there for when I make certain things that have graffiti on them. I'll go through, then I'll pull random stuff and add it. And so yours is now officially in the pool. Maybe I'll add like a graffiti item that can be placed. We'll see. That's more Universe type stuff because Blackthorn, everything's perfect. So graffiti doesn't really play a role. So yeah, graffiti is more of an Universe thing. Okay, so now it's time for the wagon. Don't need to copy that. Oh, frick. Atis is crying in the chat because I didn't answer their question. Oh, okay. Will the Navigator ever receive a civilian variant? Yes. That is a definitive yes. I just have to do it. It's like the groundwork is done for it to have a civilian variant. I just have to do it. Yeah. So yes, the Navigator will have a civilian variant. I pinky promise. So it was whole again, and then it broke again. Oh, huh. Okay. Wasn't there Nation Blackthorn lore with the Confederate flag? Yes, the Confederacy exists in the Blackthorn lore. That's kind of like a key aspect to, like, that's where the Blackthorn timeline separates from our timeline. Was the Confederacy winning the Civil War because Lincoln was assassinated during the war by internal forces, so not a Confederate. And so it led the Union to be like, fuck it. And just it turned into a ceasefire. And that allowed that weakened the American position on the continent, or not in the continent, globally, because the Confederacy existed. And so during World War I, the U.S. ended up not being very much involved. And then in World War II, the Blackthorn and supported because the Confederacy existing also made I'm not good at multitasking right now. I'm getting a little tired. So the Confederacy existing made it so that the United States was like more unstable. It wasn't as it had already broken a little bit. It was going to start breaking a lot more, basically. And so then there's the Blackthorn Revolution, which is where like the communist stuff comes in. And that was like a workers' strike that led it to the Blackthorn Revolution, which created Blackthorn. All right. I think all of this cheese here can go. So that's that. When their nation of Blackthorn War. Yeah, Blue Stream asks if the wagon will have, if the 550 will have a wagon variant. No. Nah, it's not gonna. And I realized that he asked that question before I started this. Or at least I hope so. Universally. Yes, Universe will be updated. I just have to actually do it. Someone got the Universe taken down because of the Pinwheel of Friendship. And I pulled it out of the pack, but they never reapproved it. So now the Universe is like really outdated. And yeah, so it's gonna be a minute. Okay. I want to make sure there's nothing overlapping here. Oh, there is. Crap. Alright. Parts, make all parts visible. That invisible. And then this spinning check nugget says that his nation would abolish the British Empire. Too late. Already happened in the universe, at least. British Empire died under new management. Blackthorn. After World War II, because Blackthorn supported the Axis, the Allies lost, and so Blackthorn kind of took control. Oh, poop. There's this little fucking thing here. The wheel wells are all messed up. So yeah, Blackthorn and Germany split up a lot of the British colonies. Oh man, this is all fucked up now. I'm gonna have to, if I don't do it now, I'm gonna forget. All right. And then Naomi asks if the Jeep is going to update to V6. It's missing plates and a few other things. The Labrador is updated to V6. And then the version in the military pack will also be updated to V6. If it doesn't have license plates, maybe I guess I should add them. But the idea is that like it's a farm vehicle, whatever type thing. It's like an industrial vehicle. So yeah, if I don't think it has plates, there might be plate slots, but probably not. So yeah, it is V6. It's just missing plates. Okay, fix this little model error on these guys. And the font says the music sounds like it's from an old 2000s show. Yeah, this is royalty-free 40s music this time. That's what I decided to go with. Yeah, it's kind of sitcom-y, I guess. Alright, updated that. Alright, and updated. Okay. I'll just copy the tailgate over too. I thought it was, oh no, I already did. Cool. I guess this part needs to change too. The chrome trim on the door. Fauna says, looks so swagger. Yeah, the chrome really, like those little details really bring out a lot. So those little touches, you know. And they don't have to be like super high poly touches either. Okay. What happens to Blackthorn and the world after 1969? Blackthorn officially collapses in 1970, like 1978, late 70s, due to a united front. Germany collapses, like the Reich collapses in the late 60s because of human rights violations, and so that's like, you know, dang it, these are messed up too. At least like the texture is. And so like that kind of starts the beginning of the end for Blackthorn. And Blackthorn collapses at the end, towards the end of the 1970s, because the American continent reunifies the Pacific. So the American continent had divided in the Universe into the Pacific states and the Free State, which is like a little bit of New England, and then Blackthorn, and then the associated tribes of North America. So as a result, and so yeah, the North America was like divided with the Confederacy, Pacific States, Blackthorn, the Free State, which is like what's left of true America, sort of the Pacific States too, and then the associated tribes, which are in like the plains. And so in 1975, the democracy lovers, the people that didn't like Blackthorn, basically everyone but Blackthorn agrees that Blackthorn sucks and they band together in an effort to reunify the United States in 1976. It's an anniversary of 1776. So that is that's that. Hell, why are these things so locked? Alright, another thing I have to fix, that texture piece, because I shortened those but didn't retexture them. And yeah, I'm glad Fauna enjoys my pinwheel of friendship. It's a joke my siblings and I use a lot. Alright, file, export. I love like finding these little glitches that I have to fix. But the earlier you catch them, the better. Like this giant bit of purple that I'm looking at. What the hell? Why is... Oh, man. That's an old bug. That's been there for a while, I guess. And so for that, I'm leaving it. It's an official. I don't want to deal with it. You can't see it anyway. Okay. Yes, I'll save before closing because I need to export the texture. Okay. Export this texture file. Okay, so here we're seeing some texture issues. And these totally interfere with the seat cushions, which is interesting. All right. Don't forget to catch a little bit of pink inside the trunk that's supposed to be gray. Left side interior rare. I'm a little behind on the chat, so that might be referencing what I just fixed. Doc, I'll spam you on Discord my nation ID until you acknowledge it. Alright, it's been acknowledged. Yeah, okay. It's purple, not pink. Laura, colorblind. So Fauna asks, are other car brands like Mercedes and Hondas still in UNU lore, or did UNU just become the car brand of the world? So UNU did not become the car brand of the world. Like, really. It kind of is, but it also isn't. So a similar thing that happened with UNU happened in Germany. The Reich kind of consolidated German car manufacturing, and so like there's no such thing as Mercedes-Benz, it's instead Reich-Benz, and then Reichswagen is Volkswagen, so on and so forth. But then like Honda and Nissan and all that still exists. UNU exports to Japan, but Japan makes their own stuff too. The Empire of Japan. Okay. And then... yeah, so... and then UNU started as a small automaker. It bought out General Motors just before World War II broke out. as part of a Blackthorn consolidation plan, and then it also bought out Chrysler Corporation. So those, and then later down, UNU bought GM pretty early on in as part of Blackthorn's effort to consolidate auto manufacturing. And so UNU consolidated General Motors, Chrysler Corporation, Packard, Studebaker, that kind of stuff. Ford, when the Blackthorn government took power, because Ford was like freaking crazy and didn't like the whole, was anti-Semitic and anti-communist and all that, Ford saw the writing on the wall and fucking bounced. And so Ford Corporation actually avoided the Blackthorn consolidation and moved out to the Pacific and became Pacific Motor Company. So that's kind of the lore there. Alright, I think I'm going to have to re-UV map the seat cushion because it interferes. Okay. That's what all that pink is. Alright, now to see if any of this other wagon stuff interferes. What's this stuff going on here? Okay. What's all this? Okay, this one interferes. But interestingly, this one does not. So I'll move this over to here. Ah, frick. I did the wrong ones. I am a stable genius. So yeah, UNU kind of dominated American manufacturing, but not global manufacturing. Although UNU kind of consolidated. What the hell? Why is this funky too? How weird. UNU did consolidate or acquire some German manufacturing. So for example, fun fact, Opel, the German company, was a subsidiary of General Motors, at least to some degree. And why is this roof? What is this roof rack even interfering with? Oh, because the wagon doesn't have that wheel well thing. Oh, well, that was a mistake. Alright, well, now I'm fixing that. Okay. Yeah, the wagon has a spare tire in a totally different spot. So it gives me a chance to delete this guy. And so yeah, UNU has its hand in a lot of pies, but it's not like it's completely dominant. It is a dominant parts supplier. Okay. Okay. Alright, spinning chicken nugget headed out a while ago. But hope you enjoy the stream. And what also in lore, who stole Canadian lands? Bjorn wonders. Blackthorn. After World War II, in the Universe timeline, Canada was still like a province of the British Empire. It was still a colony to some degree. And so, when it comes time to divvy up the British Empire, Canada went to Blackthorn because it was in the Americas. So Canada's Blackthorn territory. Okay. I probably should have colored those wheel well parts trans pink, or not trans pink, the pink that I use for transparent textures, so I know what's interfering. Because what I'm doing right now is all this BS UV stuff, which is why I'm like not totally engaged in the conversation, and why it's hard to think as I'm thinking about this UV nonsense, because I hate it. Alright, I'm going to color this all pink so I know that this is no longer part of the texture map. Okay. Damn it, there's still fucking stuff. Okay, this is not part of the texture map. Good. That's clean. This looks clean as well. Okay. Good. The wagon variant's just the kind of the most painful because there's a lot of overlap, because there's a lot of parts that are removed, and so yeah, texturing isn't fun. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is what's called a pro gamer move. I'm going to, so these are all the wagon parts. You go ahead and remove these. That should be the same. Alright. Edit, select all visible parts, reverse selection, delete, file, export as texture file template. And this shows all the parts that I have here. This is temporary. Alright, then we can load up the sedan texture. I'm going to go ahead and export it as the wagon texture real quick. File, export. Because I did change it a bit. Okay. Load this up. Template texture right here. So this is everything that's the wagon. And then we'll bring in the 650 wagon base, just so that the texturing is hopefully consistent. And then I'm going to delete everything that isn't relevant of the 650. So now this is the proper texture for the 650 wagon parts that I copied over that are over the 550 sedan kind of texture. Go ahead and delete the transparent stuff for now. This is the new wagon texture. File, import, texture from file, wagon. That's a little shortcut to get this closer to done. Alright. The Empire of the Rising Sun. Yeah, there's some of the like inspos for the Universe lore are part Man in the High Castle and part of what is it? Fucking what? It's the video. It's like the video game, the strategy game where it's like Spice. I forget that guy's actor. Fuck. It's something 3. Red Storm 3. I don't know. The soundtrack's banger. Alright. And that explains, Fauna says, that explains why it looks so similar to GM products. Yes, a lot of the designers that worked at GM and Chrysler ended up coming over to UNU. Because they didn't have a choice. And yeah, Ford still exists. And that's kind of a good way to make PMC distinct. And then Atis asks, what are the ideals of the Pacific States? The ideals of the Pacific States are very similar to the ideals of the old America. Full warts and all. Yeah, the Pacific States is very much like just America. It's the American stand-in. They're a little much, but so there's some exaggerated aspects, but for the most part, it's just America. Okay. Space, not Portal 2. Red, I think it's Red Alarm. Let me see. No, Red Alarm's the fucking Red Alert 3. This one right here. And this is the song I was thinking of. Red Alarm's the fucking Virtual Boy game. Red Alert 3. That's what I was thinking of. So that's, you know. And that was more of an inspiration for UNU in like the early forms. Not so much anymore. Alright, let's go ahead and scoochy scooch. Bring that in. And then now I can actually start UV map or texturing some stuff. Might want to partition something for the police package, Mild Kyle says. So that's already handled. So the way the UV map works is the police stuff is always in this corner. And so that's the last area that gets filled up. I've got wheels, engine, or wheels, seat, engine, logo, and then this is the police stuff. So that's already taken care of, which is nice. Okay. Then I get textured. Boom. Fill it in. Alright. Alright, then I think this whole back area, so I'm gonna save. No. 650 wagon. I think this is all just textured blue. Yeah, except for that bottom little lip there. Oh, now it's upside down. So yeah, the floor and the walls, but not the lip or like this area down here. Okay. And then does this black go all the way around? I'm assuming it does. Yeah. Once again, what the hell's up with this? I'm just gonna assume that this was from the wagon overlay deal. Okay. This is looking pretty clean. Looks like these two things are already accounted for. It's nice. UNU should make a mining machine. Definitely on the table. There's a lot of things that UNU could make. Alright, this is a very cute little wagon. I need to remap the seats. Parts, auto texture, boink, easy peasy. Alrighty. Doing good, doing good. This is like such a cute wagon because the back doesn't stick out as much and it has the mellower wheel arch. It just kind of looks, it looks a lot square, which I like. Oh, this is good. I'm liking this. All right. Okay. Trying to think of what I have to do in terms of the vehicle variants. I don't think. Oh, I have to do like the trimmer on the windows and the. Okay. There are things I'm gonna have to do. Alright. So next, I'm gonna go ahead and design the grill. And I've got a totally modern way of doing this. It's called MS frickin' Paint. Okay. I like MS Paint. Except when I fuck it up. Alright, MS Paint, I just talked nice about you. Cooperate a little bit. I'm the only one left that remembers you. Alright, there we go. Alright, so how wide is this? This is 84. So it's 42. right there. And of course, it's not gonna line up. I mean, they could just, excuse me. Let's see. It's 42, it's 21. Well, I think the solution is just to shape box it a little. Do this. Oh, that was just one side. I thought that was both sides. I think I still just have to shape box it a bit. Because there's not really, so I'd center it like this. Let's take a take a look at what the grill looks like on a 55. Okay, yeah, pretty basic. A lot like the 56. Yeah, they would have to just shape box it a bit so that it looks better. Let's see, well, what I'm gonna do. It's this right here. I'm gonna do what's called a little pro gamer move. Okay. What's this pattern here? It's 8. Let's play at different spacings. Let's see where we end up. Okay, so this is 5 and we're 1 short. Alright, Lila, hope you enjoyed the stream. Have a good one. And that's not what I needed to save. Alright, Faunus popping off too. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good one. All the boys are leaving. Okay. This is what, 6? Yeah, it's getting pretty late. I think everyone hopping off is a good sign. I think I'm gonna sort of call it here. Because, yeah, this is just turning into the minutia that I can work out off stream. Being totally fair, it's getting, being totally honest, it's getting a little frustrating anyway. So, yeah, so I'm going to be popping off here pretty quick. This is kind of the beginning of the outro ramble here. Hope you all enjoyed this stream. I'll have to see what, well, no, I work all day tomorrow. So I might do a little stream tomorrow. We'll see. I might just finish all this up in my own time, and then I might do a stream where we're Jasoning it for that. But yeah, this turned out really good. I like it. It's very different from the other vehicles in the same lineup. So I think this is going to be a popular one. It's a nice, just basic vehicle. Yeah, I like it. It's good to kind of round out the bottom end of the lineup. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. I'm gonna wait a little bit because last time it cut